Hello.
I'm going to make you presenter.
Okay, sir.
Okay, now,
Sir, my screen is visible?
yes, ma'am, your screen is visible.
Okay, sir.
Is it audible, students? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Good morning, students. In today's session, I am going to cover server-side form validation. So first of all, what is validation? Why we are using validation? First, whenever we are designing any forms and after submitting a form, we need to verify that all the input field must not be empty, right? So to take a correct and clean input from the users, we are using validation. Now there are basic two types of validation. One is a basic validation and second one is a data format validation. So in basic validation, we are checking whether there are empty fields or not. And in a second type, data format validation, whether the data is entered in a proper format or not, that we are checking. Now, there are two types of validation. One is the client-side validation and second one is the server-side validation. Now, all of you have already learned about this client-side validation in JavaScript, right? So, in PHP, we are going to learn about server-side validation. Now, I want to ask a question for students. Now, what is the difference between client-side validation and server-side validation? Students, you can write down the answer. Now, Haley has given me answer. Client-side validation is done before submitting or sending data to server. Right. Anjali has said that client-side send request and server-side give the response. Anyone else? Now, whenever we are using client-side validation, at that time we are not sending our data or form to the server side. We are just checking the validation part in our browser only, right? So for that we are using JavaScript. Whenever there is a requirement of sending a data to server, or let's say we can say that if you want to access the server resources, at that time you have to validate your data from the server side. Now next question is, which is the technique which provides the more security, client side or server side? Which technique provides more security, client side or server side? Janice has given the answer like server side. Now why server side provide the more security? Now if we are using JavaScript for a client side validation, in most of the browser we can disable the JavaScript, right? So at that time validation may skip. So it is not so that attackers can steal your data. But if you are using server side validation, then attackers may not get your data. So server side validation is providing more security. Now, what is the difference between client and server-side validation? First, a validation is performed by a web browser before the input is sent to a web server. On a server side, user input validation takes place on the server side during the post web session. While we are using client-side validation, generally we are using JavaScript, but if we are using server-side validation, for that we are using either PHP or .NET. Client-side provide less security, while server-side provide more security. Now, first, we have to generate this form, and then after, we have to validate our form using PHP. So let's get started with coding. Now first we will start XAMPP server. I'll start Apache and MySQL. So we'll start with generating a form. So first we'll write HTML. Head. In which head section we are generally link our style sheet, or we can display our title. In body, generally we are displaying our main code. First I will create one division for that form, and I'll give the name, or I'll give the class container. Now why I'm using class container, because if I want to give certain CSS property, then using class name it is easy to give the property. Now using form tag we can create one form. Now method we are using equals to post. Now you know the difference between get and post. Let's first save this form. I'm saving this form, giving the name form validation dot php. Okay. So my first input type or first label is name. I want user name. And input type we are using is text. Input type equals to text, and it is compulsory to give name for all input type, as well as I am giving class to give CSS properties. Same way, second label is we want user to enter email. Okay. So for that, input type equals to text. Now here we are using input type equals to text. But if you are using input type equals to email, then by default it will provide a validation. So for implementing server-side validation, we are generally using the input type equals to text. The third input we are going to provide is password. Input type equals to text, name equals to class, and I'll give class equals to class. And so here I am using input type equals to text for your simplicity. Let's say that if I am typing 1234 to show the password, right now I am using text, otherwise you have to use input type password. Next is I am using confirm password. Same way, we are using input type equals to text. Now we will change the name equals to CPass and class to CPass. Next is I am going to use a label mobile number. Input type equals to text. I will change the name to M number and class equals to M. The next input is I want a text area for write down the comments. For that we are using text area tag, in which we have to provide number of rows and number of columns. Equals equals to, let's say I'm giving 15 columns, as well as we have to provide name for text area equals to comment. And the last one, I am using input type equals to radio button to enter sender. For that we have to use input type equals to radio, name equals to class equals to name. Then second one is we are using for name, right? Now you can see that for a radio button we are using same name for called input, so that we can check only one of them option. Now let's check the last one. we want to add submit button. For that, we are using input type equals to submit value equals to submit and class equals to sub and name equals to right. Now we'll run this program. So in browser we have to type localhost and then we have to go to the folder that I have created in htdocs webinar. So you can see that here one file is created form validation.php. Now the form is generated, right? Now suppose I want to give them a CSS property. For example, all of this input type is having same width, same height. For a submit button, I want a background color as a green. So for that, we have to create another or external CSS file, right? Here we have given all of the input type a class, right? So using class, we can give the CSS property. So first, I will give body width. Width equals to 100. So it will use 100% of browser width. Next, I want to give a width for my division. For that, I am given a class container. Right? So again, I am giving width equals to 100%, and I want that my form is display on a center side. So I will use padding left property, and suppose let's say I give 30%. I'll save this file. And validation dot css. So in our form, we have to link that external CSS file. For that, we have to write in a head link relation equals to style sheet, then type equals to text slash css, and then we have to provide the reference or path, and name is form validation dot css. Using this syntax, you can add external css file. Okay? So now we'll run this program. So you can see this form is moved 30% from the left. Now next, I want to give all the input type a same width and same height. So write down all the class name, and class is accessible by dot name, then dot email, then dot pass, cpass, mm, pass dot cpass dot mm, then dot sub. For text area, we have already given rows and columns, so we are not adding this height and width property. So I'm using height for 4% and width equals to 20% for each input. Right. So you can see this. All the input type is having same height and width. Now I want my submit button background color is green. So dot sub, I am providing background color equals to green. So now I have given all these properties, styling properties to my form. Now next, the main part is validation. We have completed our designing part of a form and styling, right? Now next is we want a server-side validation. So for that, either you can create external PHP file or you can write down validation code just about the body. So for validation, we have to write new start PHP lesson question mark PHP and ends with the question mark crediting sign. Now first, if we are doing a validation, then first we have to check if we are sending our data using post method, right? So using post method only we can validate our data. If we are using get method, then it will not validate our form validation, right? So first you have to check whether the input method is a post or not. Then next you have to check. Then you have to check all the input type. Now let's say if in a JavaScript we have get all the input from the user using document dot get element by ID, and we have to pass this user ID, and using this ID we can store this data into one variable, let's say name, right? So in server-side validation, we have to perform whenever user submitted data. At that time, we have to perform a validation. After sending the data to server side, we have to perform the validation. So first, we will check whether the method is used post or get, right? The next is we have to get or we have to collect all the input data from the user. Now this input data is coming using post method, right? So for validation, we will check empty variable, right? Let's say after submitting this form, if user has not entered name, at that time we have to display a error message. Now this name will be we will get this name by using $post method. But in JavaScript, we are getting this name by using document.getElement by ID, and in bracket we are providing the ID. But in a PHP, this document.getElement by ID is replaced with $_post, and then you have to provide the name of that particular input type. Let's say first I have given the name. In this variable, we have to check whether this name is empty or not, or further validation scheme, right? So in a PHP, first we will check if dollar underscore server, which is a global variable, and that we have to check request method, whether a request underscore method, whether this method is post or not. So if this method is post, then we have to perform a validation, right? So first we will check for name. If we will check whether the name is empty or not. So we'll check if empty dollar underscore post, and that we have to provide the name of the first input type. Name of the first input type is name. If name is empty, then we have to display error message. So to display error message, we have to define one variable called name underscore er, and then we have to write down a error message. Please enter the name. Okay. Now, first we have to define this variable that is used to display the error message. So to display name error, I am using dollar name underscore er. Same way to display email error, I'll use email underscore err. To display password error, I'll use dollar pass underscore err. Same way for confirm pass err. Next, we are using for mobile number mo underscore err. For displaying a comment error, comment underscore err. Then same way for to display gender error, we are using GNDERR, and set to the empty. By default, error message is empty, and then if first dollar underscore post name is empty, then you have to display the name error, right? Now to where to display error. Suppose I have already validated first name. Here, suppose I want error message like enter name. So I have to use span tag here after the input type. Span slash span tag. For span, I am providing one class equals to error. If I want to provide certain CSS property to display error message, at that time I am using this class name. Now suppose if you want to display error message, then you have to use PHP and just dollar name underscore error, because it will contain the error message. Now first check if name is empty, then you have to display error message like please enter name that is stored in a dollar name underscore err, right? Now this dollar name underscore err is passed in between a span tag. Now suppose I want to give the some certain CSS property. So dollar dot error, I'll give font color equals to red and font weight equals to bold to display my error message. So we will run this. If I'm entering the name, just say wait for some time. Student, give me 10 minutes time. I'll get back to you. Will then wait.
Okay, dear students, there is a bad internet connection from Kajal ma'am. She is facing some issue, so she will just back in 5 minutes. Okay, so wait till then. Thank you. Yeah, she will be back in 5 minutes. Wait for a while. Am I audible? Hello, students. Am I audible? Okay, so all are requested to be there.
Hello, voice is audible. Now we have to check whether the name is empty or empty name if it display error or not. Right? So it is not displaying an error. Now we have to check whether where is the error. Suppose dot error color equals to red and font weight we have to use it as a bold weight. Let's go again.
Ma'am, your screen is not visible.
Okay, sir. Wait.
Hello,
Hello.
your screen is not visible.
It is visible, sir. Hello.
Your screen is not visible. Okay, now we can see your screen.
Okay, sir. So now we will check whether it will display an error message or not. Is an error unexpected file. Hello. 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 Screen is visible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, sir. Now we have to check whether for an empty input, it displaying an error, right? So right after entering input, we have to use span tag, and in between span tag, we have to use PHP, and we have to print $name underscore error, which contains the error message, right? So we will run this program, and after click on the submit button, it will provide the message as a enter name. Let's say I have entered my name, right? So the message will be gone. So same way, we have to check for all the input type whether the particular input type is empty or not. So same way, we have to just use if empty, or let's say we can check for email. Just we have to change the input name for email, that is email, and we have to change the error message, please enter email, and we are using variable email underscore ER to display the error message. Now same way, we have to use span tag to display the error message. Now for email, email underscore ERR contains the error message, right? So we'll check again. Form validation.php. Now we click on the submit button, it will display the error message, enter name and please enter email, right? So after entering my name, and let's say I have entered abc@.com, it will submit it. Same way, we have to check for all the input type. Now we will continue this validation part on a Monday, right?
Okay, am I audible, students? Am I audible, students? Sorry for the inconvenience today due to bad internet connection. There was a problem from Kajal ma'am side. So whatever we had go through today, we'll back to Monday again from the beginning. Okay, so don't worry at all. And this is what the practical number 5, the server side validation. So once the Kajal ma'am will finish this entire session, you need to implement from your end, right? So we will meet on Monday without fail. Yeah, so we ended our WT session over here, and the next session would be on software engineering. So I'll hand over to the next instructor. Ma'am, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, who is going to take?
Myself. Should I change the
Okay,
presenter?
so I'm going to make you presenter. Yeah,
Hello. Good morning, students. Good to see you all. Yesterday we had a session on testing taken by Krishna ma'am and coding principles. That is, let us start from there, what we did yesterday. We had discussed Unit 6 of GTU, that is software coding and testing. Now this is the unit with maximum weightage in your syllabus. Only two units have maximum weightage. One is process module and second one is testing. So one of the most important units from exam point of view for MU students. Again, this is unit 8, almost similar. It is comprising of coding as well as testing. Again, if I need to have questions from this in either mid or VTU or MU exam, there will be 2 to 3 questions for sure. Yesterday, Haley was asking about 6.1, 2, and 3. Haley. Now, this PPT talks about the report format practicals which you are doing in lab. As we won't be meeting in lab for few days, so let us complete side by side whatever I'm teaching right now. Implement that as a lab practical in your reports. Okay, I see many of the students are inactive right now. Let us do an exercise. Everyone raise your hand in the screen. I can see if you raise it. Let me see how many of you are attentive. Smith is attentive. Good, Smith. What about others? Rohil, Riya, good. Priyank, Pranav, Nishant, Meet, yeah. Kripa, good. Kishan, Kushali, Jeet, Jackie, Kelly is also there. Okay, Gaurav, Penny, Deep. Okay, tell your friends. Ma'am is telling to raise your hand in your WhatsApp group. Of course, you'll be there discussing who is going to take the session. Okay, fine. Okay, let us start. So, talking about practicals, yesterday Haley was asking question here. 6.1, you have to discuss about implementation environment, whether you are developing a system for multi-user or single user, whether it is GUI based or command prompt based. Okay, so you can write 2 paragraphs on both the points discussing which environment you are going to implement in your system. 6.2 talks about program or module specification. Module specifications. Now, what are the major modules? If you remember, you have submitted project profile. In that, you did write the modules, major module 1, 2, 3. Okay, we had 3 major modules minimum. You have drawn DFD. In DFD level 1, if you see, you have broken up 0 level into level 1. The modules are the process which has been taken from 0 level to level 1. You have to write about those over here. What does those modules do? Okay. 6.3 is about security features. If you have implemented any security features or if you are going to do, you can mention them here. For example, if you are creating user ID password from biometrics, you can add. If you are having some sessions which are password based, you can add. OTP based security you are giving, you can add. Email based security you are giving, you can add over here. So Haley, is it okay? 6.1, 2, and 3 coding standards will be what we discussed yesterday in detail. How to name namespaces, how to name controls, how to name the constants. If I'm using some predefined constants, do I name it in uppercase or lowercase, etc. Okay. Sample coding, as I said, I want sample or pseudocode from any other module other than your login page. Okay, you can have a sample coding in your report, but that should not come from your login page. Now, is it fine till here? Today, whatever I'll be teaching will go here in testing plan. Now, should I start with testing or you want me to discuss software configuration management also? You can comment that in your question. when you pose the question, voice is not clear, is it? Is it audible? Okay, testing. I should start with testing. Few more students comment there. Okay, I get lot of response from students which talks about testing. Voice is not clear, is it? Hello, Krishna ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, let us start with testing then. Why coding was involved before testing? Why this chronology? Nowadays we talk a lot about chronology, right? Students will be smiling listening this. Why coding and then testing? And why we went through formal technical review before coding? Okay, there is a reason why units are kept like this. I'll be testing only what I code. Okay, and formal technical review and quality assurance can be done from requirement specification also. Therefore, we had a coding session, coding standards, coding practice, coding guidelines before we started with testing. Okay, now after coding, you saw unit testing. Why did I discuss unit testing and inspection, code inspection? Now, when I write a unit, a module, remember when we used to study in school, smallest unit we studied in chemistry was atoms and molecules, smallest part. Okay. In your code, if you write a smallest function or one small function, that can be considered as unit. So we'll start testing from the smallest unit we have made. I'm not going to see the questions right now. I'll be telling you to post there. So be here. Okay, so that is a unit. Now, how do I test the unit? If I have a small portion of code, I can go through inspection. Okay, inspection means I'm just referring the code. If there is something wrong logically, I can go through. If there is something wrong syntactically, I can check. So I can check that way. That is why it is said as inspection. Yes, we are here. Code inspection. It was proposed by Fagan. Okay. Now, when I already have code inspection, why do I have two entire chapters on testing then? It is easy to do code inspection on single units or part of units, but when I'm combining them all together, now I have a huge system, huge software in front of me. I cannot go through code inspection throughout. Okay, it is an exhaustive process then. I need to combine them all, then check again. Therefore, I'll be having different strategies of testing. Okay, what is output of code inspection? Anything which you do will deal with some output. Either it is a report which is documented, or it is some document which you are submitting to the organization. Code inspection will end up like this: number, location, description, and the seriousness of whatever you have tested. Just a document for your information. Okay. Yesterday you had doubt in not count. Is it? Not count. Let me see if you post something. If you say yes in not count, I'll be answering it. Post it in question if you want me to explain not count again. I'm checking it right now. Arman says yes. Okay. Okay, let us understand what is not first. Not is overlapping of two jump statements in your program. Now, when do I have a jump statement? Suppose I say I'm going from PPT 2 to PPT 27. There is a hyperlink there. Okay. In that case, I'm applying a jump. Again, I'm switching my PPT from 3 to 28. What am I doing? I'm again changing the sections. I'm not going sequentially. I'm changing the sections. That is why I say it is overlapping. Let me get ready with the notepad. It's 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes. let us have, in case it is not visible, we'll be talking about not count and why it is important. In your code, let us consider I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines of code. From those 9 lines, from line 2, we'll be discussing this again while I'm going through testing chapter. From line 2, there is some condition which leads us to directly on line 8. Okay. Again, let us have some overlapping from fourth statement. I directly go to statement number 9. Are both the jump statements overlapping here? Yes, you can see overlapping. So when I am writing code, inspecting the code like this, I can see there is a overlap. Okay. This overlap is known as not. Okay. You can see now. Let us compare. You'll see some formula here. In the PPT, write down the formula with me and let us trace if it is correct. Write down the formula. Minimum of AB, everyone. Write it down and then I'll ask you to compare it. Minimum of A and B is less than minimum of P and Q. Maximum of A and B. Now let us go back here. Go back. Okay. Minimum of A and B. Consider 2 as A. Take 2 as A. Draw the same figure. Everyone, draw the same figure. Consider this as A. It gets connected with B. 4 will be P and 9 will be Q. Okay. What is minimum of 2 and 8? 2. Should be less than? Yes. Minimum of P and Q, that is 4. Should be less than maximum of A and B, and that is 8. Is it understood now? Only when this condition meets, we can say there is a overlapping. Okay, this is a way to check overlapping because I cannot write line of codes like this and check the overlapping of code, construct, transfer. Okay, now ideal case, not count should be less than 10 in any program. If you go to some standard textbook, you'll see the control transfer. If I'm having a control transfer from here to somewhere else, from here to somewhere else, I can see again there is a overlapping. So number of control transfer is allowed, but overlapping is not allowed. Okay. Now, if you have drawn this diagram, match it with this formula, and you'll understand why it is formulated like this. If you have doubt, post it in question again. There are two conditions: minimum AAB is less than minimum of P and Q, that is 4 and 9 is again less than maximum of A and B, that was 8. Okay, and maximum of P and Q should be greater than maximum of P and B. If you recall the figure here, maximum was 8 and maximum was 9. Other case, not necessarily a diagram will be like this. In other case, second condition should suffice. Now, when there is a short note on not count, it is not necessary to mark this up. Okay, this is to be written in code when you are testing for not count. Hello. This has to be written in code. Okay. Now, when you are writing a short note or explaining it, you can directly draw a figure like this. You can have a line of code here. You can say there was line 1, if condition, now it deals to line 5. If it is true, it goes here, otherwise it goes here. So control transfers here. Again, there was a condition, control transfers below. This is a not. You can explain like this in exam. Okay. Now, based on their minimum and maximum, you can explain this overlapping happened because the coordinates of the first point and the last point overlaps with the coordinates of this construct also. Okay, so no need to mug up that formula, not at all. I hope now you are clear, little clear count. Answer me in the question section. If yes, we'll move forward. Okay, I don't see any questions on this again. Assignment questions were given to you. Mostly the questions are taken from your paper, either GT or NV. Hope you would have started it. Testing concepts. Okay. Testing is a huge chapter. Here we'll be talking about error, fault, failure, level of testing. Now we have already discussed about error and fault and failure in few chapters ahead. Let us talk in detail. What is error? How do I say there is an error? When there is incorrect mapping between actual output and correct output. Whatever my system was designated to produce as an output is producing something else. So there is a difference or there is a deviation between actual and correct output. It is called error. It can be asked as definition, 1 mark. All three, 1 mark error, 1 mark fault, 1 mark failure. So you may jot down or you may make a star there. Error is deviation between actual and required or correct output. Fault, what is fault? Fault is a condition that causes the system to fail in performing its required function. Suppose I have made a software for this GoToWebinar. Okay. Now due to any criticality in my system, I'm not able to start the webinar. So there is fault. Not that it is having fault in the software, but there is a fault somewhere which is not allowing software to start. Okay. Fault is basic reason for software malfunction. What is failure? In case I reach a condition where my software is not performing properly, it leads to a failure. Okay. So in testing, why I'm discussing all three in testing? We'll be basically trying to uncover what are the errors which are not yet found in software in testing. Because if I don't find them, they result into fault and the condition which leads the software to fail. Okay. I think someone else is not mute. Let me mute them also. Okay. Okay, so finding errors before they get converted into fault and lead to failure in simple words. Okay. These two words. In the last lecture, I was seeing you were going through a page wherein there was an error if you gave incorrect data, isn't it? In that case, you were doing validation. If you remember, in .NET also you would have heard the word validation. In Java also you would have heard the word. So testing deals with two V's. Two V's. One is verification, another is validation. Important difference can be asked in paper. Verification versus validation. Now, forget this PPT for time being and think what is verifying and what is validating. Okay. Now, if I think about verifying, we are checking what is actually given and is implemented. Okay. Are we building the right product? Am I correctly implementing whatever I was asked for? Then I'm verifying with the requirements stated by the end user. Okay. Now, after building, if I'm doing it correctly, if I have something to enter a mobile number, am I able to enter only digits? Am I allowing alphabets also? In that case, I'm validating whatever I have made. I'm checking for the correctness. Okay. So this is the difference between validation and verification. When you come for project review, either in DE or in SE or in your seventh or eighth and you'll be doing. Whatever we do is actually validating your project, or whatever the person who is testing your software is doing is validation. Whatever you have implemented is accordingly correct. Okay, if you have placed a checkbox there, if it was needed, if yes, I am validating. If you have a text box, is it multi-line? Is it single line? I'm validating. Okay. Then what is verification? Verification is checking actual software is built for the right concern. So this has to be done before validation happens. Before I get into implementing the details of my system. I'm implementing module 1 and implementing module 2. Before that, I need to verify whether I'm building it correct according to the requirements given. Okay. Now go through the points for yourself. Whatever we learned in QA chapter goes under header called verification. Formal technical reviews, I said, they can check for the requirements. And whatever goes with code, that is why chapter started with coding standards. All the code related activity will go here in validation. Okay. You can see I'm talking about code and I'm talking about specification and requirements. Okay. So basically in testing chapter, we will be doing validation, and whatever we did in quality analysis was related to verification of development of correct. Jot down the points if you want. Important short note to be considered. Okay. Should I move further or you are jotting it? Okay. Let's move further. Level of testing. Oh, this will be on screen. Level of testing. When I talk about levels of testing, there are many levels. You saw one, that is unit testing. Because I have unit testing, let us see the right hand side first. This, forget about this. I'll connect you with this also. Unit testing. When I have unit testing, I obviously need integration testing. Unit wise, every module is correct. Therefore, I need to integrate them. After integrating, I will test the system as a whole. So system testing. System testing leads to acceptance test. Okay. Now let us classify their types. Unit testing, you can have code inspection. You can have a driver which runs the stub. You saw the figure yesterday. That is what is the part of unit testing. Integration testing will have. Now why I have not included the points in PPT to check whether you are attentive or not. Okay. Integration will have top down, bottom up and sandwiched testing. Types of integration testing: top down. I'm checking all the modules after connecting in from top to bottom. That is top down. Bottom up, I'm combining the stubs, lowermost stubs in the program. And sandwiched, I'm following both the approach. Okay. System testing is alpha testing. I'm checking the system for the faults, entire system as the whole. Acceptance testing, best example is beta testing. I'm giving it to my few clients to test the system and report me about the error. This is called acceptance testing. Okay. I hope this is clear. There are 4 levels of testing in a software: unit, integration, system, and acceptance. Okay. Now let us map this with whatever we have. We should go on left hand side right now. I will be doing unit testing of what? Code. Actually, we should come like this, but because coding is there, we'll be going like this. Coding. I will do unit testing. code, I'll integrate all the designs which happened. Designs leads to interface. Okay, I'm interfacing every code here. I'll be doing integration testing. System testing, I'm making sure whether the requirements given are fulfilled. This is called system testing. Clients need, now I said beta testing over here. So clients need are tested by clients. Therefore, it is called acceptance testing. Figure as a whole, let us start. You develop a software because clients have needs. Fine. So client needs. Next, they give their requirements. Client needs leads to requirement, which you convert into design, and then you implement it. The cycle is clear. Client need, requirement, design, and code. Okay. Now, client needs can be verified with acceptance testing. Requirements can be validated with system testing. Design can be validated with integration testing, and code can be tested with unit testing. Okay, draw this figure. Now you can have a lot of explanation here if it is asked as a short note. No need to remember it. Just think about what the system is having: code, design, requirements, and client needs. Ma'am, what are drivers and stubs? I'll be going through. Okay. So error, I'm going through the questions, doesn't have any relation on dependency or fault. Because, yes, if I'm not uncovering errors, I am leading to a situation where there will be fault in future. File is asking something. Drivers and stubs. Stubs are small units of program. Driver is automating the testing of those units. Like we have a driver for car. So it is automating some process. Here we will have a program which will allow testing of few other programs that are stubs. Remember when I teach you class diagram, I say there are 3 stubs in the class diagram. So that is the smallest part, stub. Okay. It's V model. Okay. Yes, correct. Now who is this? Dheeraj, very good. We completed V model also in class. V model is where analysis phase and testing phase go hand in hand. Correct? V model, V and V, everything is related to testing. Good. Happy to see this. Can we say stub as an interface? No, dear. Stub is a small unit which has to be tested. When I combine the stubs, I say it is having interface and I'm doing integration testing. Okay. If I'm having a software which is doing calculation, scientific calculation or mathematical calculation, I'm checking for addition of simple and complex numbers. It is a small stub. I'm checking for multiplication, again a small stub. Combining them all together will lead to an interface, and then I'll need to do integration testing, wherein I can check addition and multiplication go hand in hand together if I want to do. Is it okay? What are coding principles? Assignment. Okay, I'll talk about assignment later. Any doubt over here? Okay. I think we should move forward now. Now this figure tells you what? Compare both the figures, the figure which we had in the last PPT and now. Unit testing can be done with code, integration, you check design, validation, requirement, system testing, and system engineering. See, figures are important whenever we are talking about short notes, because you have to draw the figure in order to give explanation. Draw it if you want. You can connect this well with spiral model again, but then both are different. Okay, moving forward, a theory about the levels of testing we saw. Go through it. Unit testing, verification of code, you can add code inspection, integration testing, you can talk about top-down, bottom-up approach. It is combining of more than one modules in the system. Okay, system testing and acceptance testing. System testing the system as a whole, that is alpha testing. Acceptance, example of acceptance testing is beta testing. The system is tested by end users who are clients. If you remember, I had given some password for Oracle Student Cloud. So that was a part of beta testing. Whenever a new version of anything is released, it is first distributed in the innermost or the closest circle of the clients so that they can test and they can give you feedback. Regression testing. Okay. Regression testing is done after there are changes made in software. Go back to your SCM chapter. I say version 6.1.2 was already there. Now 6.3.0 came into picture. How do I test the software at the developer side? It goes through something called smoke testing and regression testing. Testing for the minor changes which are brought into the system. It's called regression testing. Important definition can be asked. What is regression testing? So smoke testing is an example. Regression testing itself is an example. Okay, testing process. Now you need to pay attention. When I want to start testing, what are the things I have to be ready with? Yes, now you are seeing on something which is bold in PPT and it is correct. I need to have a plan. I need to have a design and I need to do its execution. Okay, nothing to mugify here. Testing process involves of three activities. Anything you do needs a plan, needs a design, and needs its execution. Is it okay? Okay. In test plan, what we will do, we will plan our test and input will be based on your project plan. Project plan is what you do in Gantt chart. Okay. I had 1 month of analysis phase. I had 15 days of design phase. So am I going according to the plan? You can test that also. Requirement document. Why requirement document is needed? Any chapter you take blindly in software engineering will have requirement document, because whatever you are being developing in your software, it needs to map to whatever was given by customer. Okay, customer requirements or user requirements will be mapped with the design or code you have implemented. Okay, so plan, requirement document, architecture or design document. Still we have to go through design chapter. You'll see lot amount of architectural styles there. Remember your COA, pipes and filters. Okay, sequential. So these were the architectures. Likewise, there are architecture in software design also. So you have to check architecture in order to check the interface. Whenever I say interface, this word will come, design. Okay, so three things: plan, requirement document, and architecture of the software. A plan can contain these things: test unit specification, which unit you are going to test, features to be tested. For example, if I am having our e-portal, your attendance system, features to be tested is, am I able to mark present? Am I able to mark absent? Am I able to bypass your attendance which I want? Is periodical bypass applicable? What if I want to bypass for 4 days? From 10 to 14 every month I want to bypass a student. Is it being done? Was it asked by the customer? So they are the features to be tested. Okay. Approach for testing. What approach am I using in testing? You saw many approaches. You saw many levels. Approaches will be, again, I'll be talking about strategies, that is white box and black box. So which approach you are taking right now? Test deliverables, as I said, whatever you do should be measurable. Khali run the program, control F9 you are doing and finding the error is not the way we are testing, okay? It is tracing the program. If I'm testing something, I need to have on right hand side what I have tested. Was it correct? Did it fail? And what were the failure points if it failed? So that is test deliverables. Schedule and task allocation. Again, you have to schedule testing. It is not like whenever I get up, I start testing. You need to have a schedule according to the units and allocation of the task in case you have a testing team. Going back again, these three things. If there is a short note on testing process, we'll be talking about plan. You'll be close your eyes and think what are the things I discussed with you. Plan, architecture, and the requirement documents. Okay. Plan में you can write these things. Connect it. Specification, features, approach, deliverables, and schedules. Okay, test case design. Instead of reading this entire PPT, what if I take you to test case generation directly? Then I'll tell you to read the PPT and how many test cases can I make? This test case I've taken from a report that was based on college portal, like we have e-content, okay? Likewise, project was there. So I can have any number of test cases. Suppose I'm testing a unit e-content. I can have 5 to 6 test cases there. I will number them. Name, which page am I testing? For you, you understand pages, na? Login page, registration page, Falanu page. Yes, smiling for Falanu page. Okay. So if I'm testing login page, I'll be writing the description here. My login page, is it comprising of only user ID password, comprising of biometric testing? Does it require my mobile number checking also for few seconds only, because it may be possible I take OTP or code from somewhere else. So am I coding for that? You'll write the description here. Test data used. What test data you have used? Okay, when you are testing, test data which will be using expected output, actual output. See, in the PPT where I started testing, we talked about expected output and actual output while discussing error. So we'll be talking about this also. Fine. Test case number, name, description, data which I used for testing, actual and expected output. What was the output? Pass or fail? Did my test pass? If yes, nothing has to be done. If failed, I'll pay more stress on did I use correct data. Now again, we'll have in white box testing what data should be taken in testing. We'll be talking that in detail. How do I map them? What is the deviation over here? Okay, so this is how test case is generated. You have to generate at least 3 test cases in your report in practical. Draw this scheme. Test case number, name, description, data, expected and actual output, pass or fail. You have to do this in your practical. So draw the schema given here. Hope you have done. Is it audible? Fine. Now let us go through this. Read for yourself. Is it necessary to test entire software? Yes, it is necessary. Conditions being tested, output expected are documented so that I remember what I tested. Otherwise, I'll keep on testing. I did this also, I did the last one also, so it is better to have a test case generation like this. Okay. After making test cases, what I need to do is its execution. Okay. Now this tester can be a third party, or if they can be developer who are testing the system. If bugs are found, You start with a process called debugging, that is entire a different unit. Otherwise, you are trying to uncover error to the maximum, and that is where testing lies or align. Okay. Now, if you find an error, fix it. Again, you test it to verify whether it is fixed. It is very simple. So now we have understood mostly how testing will be done, what is the process. Is it okay? Should we go through a small revision of what we did? Fatafat? Chalo. Okay, we started with not count. Okay, not count was a part of coding. So let us leave there. Error, fault, failure. We are trying to maximize error in our system. So we are trying to demolish. We are trying to break the software. We are being critics over here. Ye sahi hai, ye galat hai. I have to say that. Okay. Verification, validation is a part of testing. Entire testing chapter unit does validation. All the things we did before are the part of verification, especially quality assurance and all. Level of testing, someone said it is V model and that was 100% correct. I'm connecting analysis and I'm connecting the testing levels. This figure says the same thing. These are the different level of testing. Remember, I have not kept the word which I want as a keyword in your answer to check whether you remember and make notes. Unit testing, code inspection, code testing, okay? Integration, top-down, bottom-up, sandwiched approach. System testing, alpha testing, acceptance testing is beta testing, regression or smoke testing is a part of regression testing, is done when minor changes are added in the software. Testing process involves three things. I have to plan the test, whatever I am going to test, I have to feature them. I have to design a test case. You saw in table how do I design it, and then execution, that is running the code with the intent to find error is important to be added. Okay. This was test case generation, test case execution. Now, fundamental. Demolish is highlighted here. I want to break the software. Testing sometimes is viewed as destructive rather than constructive because I'm trying to check out what is wrong in my system, okay, or what can go wrong. Important. 3 marks question. Explain testing objective. Okay, what is the primary objective of testing? Before starting white box and black box, let us go through few guidelines and principles. Testing is done with the intention of finding error. I'm not just running the program. So, मेरा program run हो रहा है. Is it running properly? Do I have any error? No, it is not like that. I'm checking the program or I'm executing the program with the intention to find error. This is called testing. Okay. A good test has a high probability of finding as yet undiscovered error. The errors which we have already identified. Other than that, if I can identify any other error, I'm doing a good testing there. A successful test is one that uncovers as yet undiscovered errors. The points which are highlighted, you may note down in your book. So, primary objective of testing is to find error. Which type of error? Which are not yet discovered, and a good test is one which has high probability to do that. Okay. Important question. Testing principles. So let us use our common sense approach before going through this. Whenever I'm testing something, should it map to the original things which were required? Yes. So it should be traceable to customer's requirement. Yes, I should be able to check whether the things which are developed, implemented and coded are traceable to the requirements given. So this can be said as a verification point. Okay. All tests should be traceable to the customer's requirement. Left hand side, there should be customer's requirement, as many number of columns you want to add, and right hand side, whatever you want to test. Okay. Finally, it should map code. Test should be planned long before testing begins. Now you'll accept this point when I take test in class. Is it okay if I take surprise test, or it should be planned long before? Okay. So now you know why it should be planned long before. So that you are able to have test case designs, you are able to draw executions. Okay. The first point was traceable. Second point is planned long before it begins. Okay. Third one, the Pareto principle applies to software testing. Remember when I was talking about Pareto principle in quality chapter, I said you it applies everywhere. 80% of the defect is due to 20% of components which are used in software. We calculated risk also in class with the same example, 70 and 30 ratio we took instead of 80 and 20. Okay, so it applies here. 3 points are clear. Traceable, it should be planned, and Pareto principle applies. Pareto principle for class test is 80% of questions are asked from the 20% of part which you skipped. So you'll not forget now these principles, isn't it? Okay. Now, testing should begin in small and progress towards in large. Begin in small means which approach did we see? Unit testing. It should begin in small and progress towards large. That means you need to integrate the steps which you are testing in person in small units. So it should start with small, but it should be having appending of more steps over here. Exhaustive testing is not possible. It is never possible that I say, okay, testing has been done, 100% of testing has been completed, because still there will be things which we would have skipped knowingly or unknowingly. Okay. To be most effective, testing should be conducted by independent third party. Why? Because if I am testing my software, obviously I'll try to find out less number of errors. So if it is done by someone else who is not a part of the team, it can be less biased and more critic based. Fine. Go through the principles again. First point, traceable. Second point, it should be planned long before. Third point, Pareto principle. Fourth, should begin in small and progress towards large. Exhaustive testing is not possible, and most effective testing is conducted when it is done by the third party. Mark it as important question. Can be asked in paper. When I say in paper, it is GTU and you both. Okay. Let me see if there are any questions. Can we say interface? Someone is asking that I don't know what to write in naming conventions. Alright, naming conventions, you can name the control in any way. For example, I have to define pi. Now pi is a constant, universal constant, 3.14. So instead of writing in small, I can have caps there. I'm declaring it is a constant. So that is a part of naming convention. Ma'am, where does regression testing stand in levels of testing diagram? See, regression testing and levels of testing won't come because it comes after your software goes into configuration. You have more and more versions. Versions are tested with regression. Okay. So after acceptance testing, if I am having some changes, minor or major in my software, I'll be going through regression testing. Any other question? Please upload this PPT file. I have uploaded PPT till coding yesterday. Today I'll be adding this. Okay. Really, we did it, but I don't know what to write in naming conventions. Actually, I'm not getting this question. We may ask it again. Any other questions, dear? Okay. Okay, should we move further? I don't see any more questions there. Either people are not listening or they are getting it perfectly. So anything, raise your hand again, everyone. If you are there, let me see how many students are there. Okay. Once again, being at home, you don't exercise at all. Once again, raise your hand. I've let all hands down. Penny, Drashti, Darshana, Bhushan, Arman, Aneri. Okay, lot of people are here. Good. Good, good. If I have not taken your name, I still have read this. And Jackie, Kushali, Kishan, Kripa, Mahir, Mosman, Fine. You may ask questions, all these people who are raising hands. Huh? If you have doubts. Okay. Okay. Now talking about testability. What is testability? Why I have done star only for testability and not software, if you see the PPT. Why only star and testability? What if I want to check if I'm given X software, I want to test it as a third party. From where will I start? Or how do I say how complex this software is to test? How can I answer this question? Okay, for answering this question, I will be having attributes of software. The software which I was given, that is named X, is having what kind of operability? First point. Now, doing star here means testability, ability, whatever ends with lity, as I say in class, all the non-functional requirements will be characteristic of software testability. Operability, understandability, simplicity, let us go through, controllability, decomposability, am I able to decompose the units, stability, understandability. Okay, so these are the points. Let us see them in brief. Operability is the better software works, the more efficiently it can be tested. If I can run the software, if I can operate the software, I can test it properly. Is it or is it not? Yes. If I can operate, I can test. Correct. Observability. Can I observe things? Can I trace the programs? Can I trace the constants? Can I trace the variable? Can I trace the loops? Can I trace the constructs? Yes. Can I observe them? If yes, I can test it more. Okay. So how to test? We are not talking about how to test yet. It will come in further units. We are talking about what is the testability of any software. Okay. Can I say it is easy to test? When do I say this software is easy to test? Question mark. When I say it is operable, when I say it is observable, when I say it is controllable, okay, controllable things can be automated. Remember, if I have control on something, I can automate it. Decomposability, obviously, when I can decompose, I can isolate one unit from the other, I can test it better. I can go for unit testing in that case. Simplicity, as simple your program is, as easy the testing process will become. Stability, yes. Remember chapter 1, the diagram which had change in the graph. If there is a change, you will have ripple effect on the software and that will deal with the stability of the system. Okay. Understandability, the more information we have, the better we will test. Okay. These were the points related to testability. Note it down if you want. I was too fast to swap. Operability, you can write one line. Better it works, more efficiently it can be tested. What you see, what you test. The better we can control the software, the more testing can be automated and optimized. Decomposing, simplicity, stability, and understanding. Okay. Any questions still here? Okay. Testing attributes. Now remember, we talked about testing principles, sorry, objectives. Likewise, high probability of finding error. Good test is not redundant. I'm not going to test the same and same thing again because I have limited time. There is no point in conducting same test. Imagine I'm taking the same chapters test in class. It is when you still don't get good result. Okay, so good test is not redundant. A good test is best of breed. It will have many things involved in it. For example, best of breed will be white box and black box together. We will see it in the coming sessions. Your test should not be too simple, should not be too complex. It should be having proper combination of both. Okay. Important short note again, testing attributes, easy to remember. Think about testing. You'll be having keywords like probability and error. We'll be saying test should be not redundant. Best of breed, I should have all the flavors involved in testing together and should not be simple, neither too complex. If it is too simple, you will not be able to uncover many errors. If it is too complex, you will not be able to execute it. Okay, so it should be combination of both. Testing strategies. Most important question in this chapter. I think we should start this on Monday because it is already 10:57. You are sitting since 2 hours. Okay, just a description about white box and black box. Name is quite interesting, right? White box and black box. Why it is not pink and blue, white and black only, yellow and green nothing. Okay, white box testing. Imagine a white box over your code, and that white box is transparent. Your project is covered with a white box. Because it is white, it is transparent. What you'll be able to see now? Okay, you'll be able to see the codes. Okay, so white box deals with testing of coding, whatever you have done from the first page to the last page. Okay, coding and only coding. So remember Halstead matrix, we talked about coding there, N1, N2, capital N1, capital N2. Likewise, we'll compare also what is the difference. White box also deals with code only, 100% code. You'll be seeing code and how to find out complexity of code. Black box. Now same project is covered with the black box. Will you be able to see the code? No. You'll be able to see what goes inside and what goes outside. So we'll be testing on input and output only. In black box testing, we'll have a stress on what are the set of input, what are the set of output for a software to be tested. Black box is also known as behavioral testing. White box is also called glass box testing. Okay. We'll be dealing with this testing again on Monday. I'll be talking in detail on Monday. If you have any doubt till here, you may put that in your question box. Any questions? If I have not answered yet, you can repeat it in case you want me to answer. Okay, so let us complete the session here. I don't see many questions. In fact, no questions right now. Hope you understood this session. Complete your report, chapter 6. Complete the assignment if you can by Monday so that you can have next assignment here. Okay, stay home and keep learning. Okay, We may end the session now. I think Muninder sir is here.
Yes, ma'am, I'm going to end now.
Okay, sir. Thank you, students. Thank you.